How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. When you send me a picture, if it's in the body of the email, I can't manipulate it. I guess I can see it, but I can't zoom out or zoom in. At least I don't know how to do it. Do you know how to do it? Let's see if I right click. Uh, in other words, wow, what is this? Is this the same document? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know what I did to get it like this. I can zoom in and zoom out. Okay, cool. Uh, you learn something new every day, although I'm not sure what I learned. Because I don't know how I got it to do that. I guess I left clicked or right clicked. I'm not sure what. But anyway, that's you're fine. You can keep sending it the way you sent it. Um,
Okay.
I didn't think I was able to handle it, but it looks like I can. So where do we want to start? At the top?
Yeah, it's 16.
Okay. How many sides does a dodecagon have?
Uh, 12.
Okay, I think that's right. Are you sure of that? I
Uh,
I don't know my
I
polygon
can
name.
check.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, this was a review, so some of this stuff was from like a little while ago, so I'd have to check really quick.
Well, here I can. If you have tech really quick, you can do it, or I can just Google it. What do you want me to do it, or you want to do it?
I got it. A dodecadon is 12. Dodecagon.
So what's the formula for the total number of angles? Well, what's the formula for the value of one interior angle?
Uh, is it 180 times n minus 2?
That's the sum of all the angles. So what would
Uh,
be one of the angles?
divided by, like that divided by 2?
Not 2, by the number of angles that there
Um,
are. There's 12, right? So you're dividing by n.
yeah.
In other words, this is the general formula
Okay.
for any shape. This works for a triangle too. In other words, if I took 3
Okay.
minus 2 times 180 divided by 3, I would get 60. And that is the measurement of one angle of an equilateral triangle. Obviously, this is only true if it's a regular polygon.
Yeah.
The top part, the numerator, is true for the sum of the angles, regular or not. It does not have to be a regular anything for the numerator to be true. In other words, any kind of dodecagon will have the sum of its angles will be 10 times 180 or 1800. But if you want
Okay.
one angle is, it has to be a regular dodecagon, and then this is the formula that you want
Okay.
to use. If one exterior angle of a regular polygon is 9 degrees, how many sides does it have? What do we know about the sum of the exterior angles?
Uh, it should equal 360 degrees.
Yes, regardless of how many sides it has. So I could have a 100-sided figure, and if I added up all of the exterior angles, they would total 360. Or I could have a triangle, and if I add up these three exterior angles, that one, or rather that one, and this one, they add to 360. So it doesn't matter how many
Okay.
sides it has, they're always going to add to 360. So if it's telling us that each one of a regular one is 9 degrees, how do I figure out how many sides?
Do you just do 360 divided by 9?
Uh-huh. A 40-sided figure. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
When I pause like that, it's usually because I'm not sure that you've understood it at all. In other words, on my end, I'm not sure if you're questioning how I got that or what. So that's why I wait a little bit.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
so solving for X, Y, and Z. How can I solve for X?
Um,
How many sides does that have?
5 sides.
So what's the sum of the angles going to be?
Um, I'm
Make n 5, because that's what n is the number of sides.
okay.
So that gives us 540. All 5 angles
Okay.
have to add up to 540. So give me an equation that I can write that lets me solve for X.
2x plus 15 plus 3x minus 5 plus 3x plus 3x plus 90 equals 540.
Perfect. Now how many X's do we have? We have 2, 5, 8, 11. So we got 11X. How many numbers we got? 10, 100. So 11x is equal to 440. X is equal to 40.
Okay.
So that means this angle is 120. That angle is 120, and so forth and so on. But they didn't really ask what those angles were. They just wanted you to solve for X, Y, and Z. So what's Y?
Um, would it be 60 degrees?
Well, first of all, what's the angle that is the linear pair with Y? Knowing that X equals 40, what is 2X plus 15? What is that angle?
Uh, 95.
Correct. So if that's a 95-degree angle, what's Y that is supplementary with that?
85 degrees.
That's what Y is. Now let's look at Z.
Okay.
Z is supplementary to 3X. Well, what is 3X equal to?
120.
Which makes Z
Uh, 60.
Yep. Okay. 19. What's slope-intercept form? What's the general format?
Y equals mx plus b.
Good. To get the exact equation, we need to solve for m and b. Okay?
Okay.
What's m?
Uh,
In other words, what's
do
the
you start by...
slope? The general equation of the slope is it's rise over run. That's really the way to remember slope, is rise over run. And then you can always figure out that the rise is the difference in the y-coordinates. The run is the difference in the x-coordinate. And you can go in either direction as long as you go in the same direction for both the y and the x. In other words, to get the difference in the y's, I can go -1 minus a -5, or I can go -5 minus a -1. All I have to do is go the same way
Okay.
with the x, and I'll get the same slope regardless. So pick a direction for my,
Okay, so
what's my numerator going to be?
4.
So you're doing -1 minus the -5, okay? So you're going that
Yeah.
minus that, which means we've got to do the same thing for x. What's the denominator going to
Is it 0?
be? No, it's -1
-2.
-1. Exactly, -2. So our slope is -2.
Okay.
Now we can write more of the equation. We've solved for m. Now, if we can solve for b, we'll have the exact equation. And the final equation is always going to have a y and an x in it, but it won't have m and b. In other words, m and b will have been determined what they are.
Okay.
How can I get b? This line goes through both of these points. That means whatever b is, these points have to be satisfied by the equation. So I can pick either point and plug it in for y and x. That's going to let me solve for b. So I'll take this point.
Okay.
I'll take that point right there, -1. Y coordinate. Now I'm going to take this point here because it'll be clear. If I use this point here, what should I write? The second point.
It would be -5 equals -2 times -1 plus b.
Not -1. We're using this point here. The x-coordinate is 1.
Oh, just regular.
Uh-huh. Okay, now if we solve and do the algebra, we get b equals -3. Now we have our equation. Y equals -2x minus 3. And that's a way you can always do these. This is a very common question. This is probably one of the most common questions in geometry and algebra. But if you start with y equal mx plus b, you'll always want to solve for slope first. Slope is the most important thing of any line. In fact, slope is the most important thing of any function. And it doesn't matter from geometry to Calc 3, slope is huge. That's why they put so much attention to it in geometry, is they want to get you used to what slope means.
Okay.
Okay? They ask for it in slope-intercept form, which makes me curious. Have they taught you point-slope form? Or is this the only form you know, y equal mx plus b?
I think we've learned
Point slope.
point slope, but we really...
Here's point slope. The only advantage in point slope is if you have exactly a point and a slope, there's not much work to do. In other words, if I take that same point, then it's y minus a minus 5, so that becomes y plus 5. The slope was minus 2, we calculated that, and then this becomes x minus 1. And that is the same equation. And that is a perfectly good equation. That would be my answer because it was only one step, not 3 steps, except for the fact that it says put it in slope-intercept form. If it didn't say that, and it just write the equation of the line, this is the way I would have done it. And this, what I circled, would be my final answer. Now notice, that's the same. If I distribute and move it over, I get y equal minus 2x minus 3, just like we got before. So
Yeah.
the only reason I'm even mentioning it is there are more than one format for a straight line. There's slope-intercept, and there's also point slope. And if you have slope and point, or sometimes they'll give you an equation and they'll give you the slope and the point. And they'll say, write the equation of the line. Well, this way it gets it done in one step. You just plug in for m, and the point is x sub 1 comma y sub 1. So, but doing it the other way is perfectly acceptable also, especially, and in fact it's the only way, if they want it in slope-intercept form, you kind of have to do it the other way. Because if you do it this way, it's hard to convert that to slope-intercept once we get it like this. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I did it right there. Yeah, it was easy. But it is an extra step, so as long as I've got to do an extra step to get it into slope-intercept, I might as well do it the way we did it the first go-around. Now, 20. They're basically giving us a point and a slope, right? What's the slope?
Yeah.
What's the slope?
-3.
That's the slope of, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I thought that that word was perpendicular. So they gave us the slope, and the point is minus 3 comma 2. So we can do this two ways. If we don't mind the format of the output, I'm going to use point slope. It's going to be y minus 2 equals minus 3, the slope, times x plus 3. There's my answer. One step. And that's an acceptable answer because they didn't specify that they wanted it in slope-intercept form. And if they don't specify what form they want it in, you can give it in any form you want. You can give it in slope-intercept or you can give it in point slope. Now, I can convert this to slope-intercept if it makes you or your teacher more comfortable. In other words, if she hasn't taught you point slope yet, then she might not like this format. But if I convert it, that's minus 9 plus 2, so minus 7. There it is in slope-intercept format. That's in point slope format. That's in slope-intercept format. But the quickest way to get the equation is point slope, if that's the information you have, point and slope. And notice in the first one, I could have used either point. I chose to use that one just because both of these are minus 1 and it wouldn't be clear to you which was the y coordinate that I was plugging in for and which was the x coordinate. That's why I used this point here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Do we got more on this page or doesn't look like it?
No, that was it. But do you think you could write the formula for point slope again without the numbers?
Sure.
Just so I can see where to plug things in at?
Absolutely. In fact, let me write all three formats, because at some point you're going to learn all three. Slope-intercept
Okay.
is y equal mx plus b. Point slope is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Now, to memorize this, think of dividing both sides by x minus x sub 1. What would you have? You would have m equals rise over run.
Okay.
So that should make it a little easier to memorize. In other words, if you always remember m is rise over run, then the point slope has to be this and nothing else. There's one other
Okay.
format, which is standard format. And that is ax plus by equals c. In other words, they may give you one that looks like 2x plus 3y equals 4. Well, that's in standard format, and you could put it into slope-intercept by just solving for y. So I would move the 2x over, and I would have 3y equal minus 2x plus 4. Divide both sides by 3, and you get y equals minus 2/3 x plus 4/3. So any of the three formats, if you get it in one of those formats, you can always convert it to the others. They don't generally give it to you in that format, but sometimes they do.
Okay.
When you get system of simultaneous equations, back when you were taking algebra, and you got two.
Geometry.
I know you're in geometry now, but when you took algebra, they taught you how to solve a system of equations. And when you solve it by elimination or substitution, well, the ones that you always solve by elimination are in standard format. In other words, if I have 3x minus 4y equals 10, that's standard format. And then if I have minus 3x plus 5y equals 6, well, I've got two equations in standard format, which is perfect for elimination. I'm just going to add the two equations. The x variable gets eliminated, and I got y equals 16. Bingo. So standard format is used, but usually when they're talking about a system of equations.
Okay.
So you might not run into standard format too much in geometry. And you might not run into point slope format much in geometry either. But when you get to calculus, point slope is about the only one they use. So it kind of depends on the level of math that you're taking. I'm sure that your sister, she's taken pre-calc, right? She has definitely been taught. Oh no, your sister's taken pre-calc, isn't she?
She's taking statistics this year. She took pre-calc last year.
Oh, okay. Well, she learned point slope for sure in pre-calc because that's the one primarily used in calculus. Whereas in Algebra 1, usually it's the slope-intercept format that's used almost exclusively. That's why I wasn't sure whether you had even been taught point slope yet. Because you might not.
Yeah, and I can't really remember.
You might not get that until Algebra 2. You will get it in Algebra 2 for sure. But you can kind of see that there are certain kinds of problems where point slope is the most efficient to get to the root of it. If I tell you a slope is 3 and it goes through the point 2 comma 4, you can plug it directly into point slope and have your equation in one step. So point slope certainly has its value. But you can also figure out that in slope-intercept format by doing what we did, which was to solve for b.
Okay.
Okay? All right, Connor, I'm going to let you go, and I will talk to you
Okay, sounds good.
next time.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.